We can probably all agree that you have to be a pretty messed up person to work at the Foundation. There's absolutely no room for normalcy when the average working day involves preventing the end of the world, feeding murderous monsters, or dealing with an O5 council that may or may not exist in any capacity. So of course, members of the SCP Foundation are more than likely than most to have dealt with some pretty scary scenarios. In fact, a lot of them are pretty scary themselves. Definitely not a group of folks you would want to sit around and have coffee with. If you did, someone would inevitably melt or cause someone to melt, and the coffee would be laced with some anomalous substance for research purposes, and some limbs would be bisected before regrowing at an alarming rate. All par for course at any given Foundation site, but pretty shocking out at a coffee shop. Now, there are many different sources to consider when discussing Foundation members, and not all of them line up perfectly. The SCP canon is wide and varied, so we'll do our best to keep the stories as straight as possible. But again, when working with SCPs, the truth is questionable at best and almost always up for an amnestic-fueled rewrite. Hello horror heads, and welcome back to the scariest channel on YouTube, Top 5 Scary Videos. I'm your horror host, Keegan Hughes, and today we're counting down the top 5 scary SCP Foundation members, part 2. Before we get started, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more Foundation fables. Wicked, let's begin. Coming in at number 5, we have Mobile Task Force Tau 5, SAMSARA. We'll cast the net pretty wide for this first one and discuss a whole task force as one person. They're all cloned from one source anyway, and I don't feel like getting into the muddy waters of what makes a clone different than their progenitor. Too many paradoxes involved there. Tau 5 is arguably one of the strongest and therefore scariest of all the Foundation MTFs. Immortal cyborg clones created from the flesh of a dead god. It's hard to get wilder than that. These magical machine people use esoteric and experimental Foundation weaponry to investigate and contain thaumaturgic, magical, and psionic threats. There are some things that regular biological humans, no matter how highly trained, are just not capable of dealing with. Essentially, Tau 5 members are all video game characters. Infinite respawns, regeneration, and huge potential for using new equipment. These bad mother truckers have insane regenerative abilities and can basically recover from anything. They eat bullets with their bodies like Kobayashi eats hot dogs. Even if they lose all their limbs and suffer crippling blows, it won't be long before they're recloned and ready for action once again. They can even reintegrate parts from previous iterations to ensure maximized efficiency. And like I said before, these folks are magic. A step above cyborgs, they have been gifted special abilities by the Lord of Endowments, making them Master Chief level overpowered. If Tau 5 is after you, just give up. Your time has come. Coming in at number 4, we have Dr. KONDRAK. A well-known, controversial fan favorite, Dr. Redacted KONDRAK is the former director of Site-17. Nobody knows for sure where he is now, as he disappeared long ago. Some say he's still alive and working for the Foundation deep undercover, while some claim he was dealt with, if you know what I'm saying. A whiz with a camera, KONDRAK started out as a low-level researcher with little chance of promotion, but soon enough his finesse as an image capturer was noticed, and he was brought out into the field to photographically document new finds. As time went on, KONDRAK noticed that some SCPs couldn't be captured on regular issue cameras, so he began meticulously upgrading his own. These upgrades may or may not have involved anomalous materials. In fact, his camera is now classified as SCP-515 ARC and has undergone extensive testing. He is also known for becoming quite attached to certain SCPs, like way too personally attached for a researcher. He has a worrisome degree of control over the swarm of butterflies that constitutes SCP-408 and has been observed directing them in a concerted effort to incapacitate other researchers. In fact, his official title is King of the Butterflies, with 4 O's, get it right. KONDRAK also has a long and storied history of attempting to defend SCP-239, most notably when Dr. Clef attempted to terminate it. Whether 239's reality-building properties caused this, or KONDRAK's genuine affection for the child, is still up for debate. Regardless, someone so unpredictable with that much access to Foundation information should be considered highly dangerous. Plus, he may have compromising pictures of high-ranking Foundation members hidden away for emergency use. Maybe he blackmailed his way into obscurity. Filling out our number 3 spot, we have Dr. Everett Mann. This crotchety old man is a high-functioning sociopath with massive delusions of grandeur and minimal attachment to reality. Sure, that doesn't sound like much in amongst other Foundation members, but he has a long history of monstrous behavior and a head full of secrets to boot. Dr. Mann is the nephew of a mad scientist uncle who at one point was a person of interest to the Foundation. After his uncle was jailed and subsequently died for some questionable medical practices, Mann came into a fairly hefty inheritance and put himself through med school. Some may call him a mad mad scientist, but he prefers the moniker of Mad Doctor because he has his doctorate. Titles are important, people. Sporting one hell of a mustache and some serious mutton chops, Man has a set of old-timey sensibilities that put him at odds with many of the younger researchers and Foundation members. It also makes him very easy to pick out of a crowd. These sensibilities have also led to some very outdated ideas on ethics, leading to some even more horrifying actions in the name of research. In fact, he knows enough terrifying information to make him a potential danger to the Foundation under certain predicted future circumstances. Better to keep him close for now, right? Possibly the most dangerous thing about him is his knowledge of the O5's secrets. For whatever reason, members of the O5 Council keep coming to him and letting him know otherwise classified information. Much of this is insane, and as such is slowly driving Man insane as well. One story details how he actually used this accumulated information to kill the 13 members and overthrow the council. Knowledge is power. Filling out number 2, Researcher TALLORAN. James Martin TALLORAN is a tragic figure in the SCP canon. Originally a level 3 researcher, he wasn't anything special until for some reason SCP-3999 became attached to him. This reality-altering skip is one of the few Apollyon class entities being monitored. It currently poses a ZK class end of reality scenario, and the containment procedure details a very disturbing and sad procession of events. For whatever reason, 3999 holds some sort of grudge against TALLORAN and forces him to endure horrible tortures over and over again. He is made to watch the execution of his family, he's killed in many different ways, trapped in a continuous time loop of a joke, melted and eaten by Dunkleo wolves, inflated with water via hose, and more. This is all detailed in an extremely confusing, disjointed, and fascinating entry. Eventually, TALLORAN finds a way to stop 3999, but at the cost of his own life. For millions of years, he endured the worst possible pain, the rending of his mind, until he became numb to it all. Through this numbness, he was able to survive and overcome the tortures inflicted upon him. Upon investigation of 3999's cell, TALLORAN's body was found along with a cell phone containing a text document. The document resembled a containment procedure, but it was written up very differently than most. Honestly, it's a trip to read, and it's a surreal look into a writer's psyche as they come to terms with their addiction to the SCP community at large. My description can't possibly do it justice, so I would recommend reading the entry in its entirety. And finally at number 1, Dr. Jack Bright. Of course, how could we do another Foundation Members episode without talking about the immortal goofball himself, Dr. Bright? It's very difficult to describe this fellow in one shot because he's involved with so many different stories and has the potential really to be anywhere and do anything. Thanks to a connection with SCP-963, Dr. Bright is effectively immortal. Bright was killed during a containment breach while hand-delivering the amulet to another on-site location. For whatever reason, his death bound his soul to the amulet, allowing him to effectively take over the body of anyone who comes into contact with it. He can use his power to essentially do whatever the hell he damn well pleases, and this has been well documented indeed. At this point, he can just throw caution to the wind. He's been known to steal bodies, take over non-human entities, and use D-class personnel as extra lives of sort. There's actually a very long and thorough list of things that Dr. Bright is no longer allowed to do, and some of the entries are pretty ridiculous. The current amount of entries on this list is 287, and it's liable to climb even higher. If you have a favorite, please let me know down in the comments. I want to know definitively what the best thing Bright isn't allowed to do is. Now, what I've said already might paint Bright as some comedic character, and at times he can be. He is a lovable, affable weirdo with plenty of great stories to tell. But he's also quite dangerous, with plenty of tragedy mixed in as well. The Bright family has been associated with the Foundation for as long as anyone can remember, and some being researchers and task force members, and others sadly becoming SCPs themselves through anomalous means. Jack himself leaves a pile of bodies wherever he goes, and at this point might just be looking for a way to permanently die himself. 963 won't allow that to happen though. Poor guy will just have to continue on at the Foundation forever. At least he can have some fun with it, right? Whew, there is a lot of lore out there. Researching for this list was a journey indeed, but the Foundation seems to grow factorially every time I learn something new. There's some damn good writers on that website. What did you think? Any Foundation members you think should have made the list? Which one is your favorite? Let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's have a look at some of your more scintillating ones from last time. Rickadick says, the unlikes are from D-class personnel. If that's the case, I'll allow it. They have enough on their plates without me commenting on their gruesome deaths. Luke Reeves says, yay, Keegan! Happy New Year's. Yay, Luke! Happy New Year's to you as well. Got any resolutions? San Jeter says, that mustache. Got some bad news for you mustache fans. Rest in peace. Party says, whips out some teeth. Cousin Johnny's specialty, want some? Crunch munch. There is nothing on planet Earth that I want less than a handful of snacking teeth. Ugh. Walter Hote says, hey, we got an SCP that kills cheaters. Well, technically it kills abusers, but hey, the more the merrier. And that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. It's tough, but without any facial hair, like I'm like, man, not as skinny as I used to be. If you did, someone would have. Wicked. Let's get begin. Let's get begin. Yep. If Tau 5 is, what is happening?
Yo, you need the stash, man.
That's it. I know the magic is gone. I can't speak anymore.